I just wanted to have a little talk about buyer beware. Quite often I get phone calls. I do get some emails on it as well. Guys getting duped is quite common, actually, which sucks to say that people are still like that, scab baggy, but anyways, it is what it is. But I figured I'd do a little video. Hopefully this will help some guys out. This is more set up towards like Dodge trucks with Cummins in them, but I guess any diesel truck when it really comes down to it. And would probably transfer over to some cars and stuff like that, I would imagine. But I had a guy call me that we do work for, him and his business partner, and he bought a truck that we had built an engine for. I was like, yeah, okay, no problem. Told me the guy's name. Now, I changed my system 5, 6 years ago, so I did lose some invoicing stuff that I had, but the name, I recognized the name. And I couldn't remember exactly what we had done, but I said to him, hey, can you just tell me a few things about the engine? And I'll probably be able to tell you exactly what I did to it. Pretty good chance anyway. Now, that being said, some of this stuff, if you can, and he visually seen that some of the stuff he said that there was not. So just thought I would do a video talking about some of this stuff. Now, if you're going to buy a truck, if you're going to look at a truck and you don't know exactly what you're looking at, whether it has fancy head studs in it or whether it has head studs in it or, the turbochargers and all that stuff. The easiest thing that I would recommend, if you don't know, take somebody that does that does, or even if you have to pay somebody to go do it, right? Pay somebody, a shop, one of the guys that work at a shop, even if you got to pay him an hour, you pay him $100 to come help you look at this truck, that is way cheaper than the alternative, I'll tell you that. Now, another one is invoices. See if they have invoices. If they have no invoices for anything, that's not a good sign. Either they haven't owned the truck very long, or they're potentially have no idea what's actually been done to it. So it's one of those things where I hate seeing guys have that problem, and I realize some people just aren't organized and they don't have the bills, or they had to give them to their accountant, they don't have them. But anytime, like when I do stuff, I do projects or I do any of that type of stuff myself, I write it down in a book, and the book is with the vehicle. So anything I do to the vehicle, I write down. I did a wheel bearing. This is where it came from. I changed this, I changed that. It's got a different engine in it. It's got diffs out of this. I'd write all that stuff down. And maybe that's a lesson to be learned if you're building a truck. If you don't want to, print it out or any of that type of stuff, literally just buy yourself a little notebook and write it in there. So you can go, okay, the engine is this. It's got this injector, it's got this timing, it's got this, it's got this, it's got this. Now timing, I always just write down underneath the hood of the truck so that when I change the timing, I can just smear it off and then write it back on again. I've done that for quite a few years. So sometimes I do forget, but it's just easy to keep track of it if you do that. But it's one of those things that if it's got a built engine in it and there's no bill for it, that's pretty suspect to me. If it's got a built transmission, there again, no bill, pretty suspect to me. If the guy did all the work himself, he's going to be pretty knowledgeable and, you can ask him a few questions, that type of thing, but he's still going to have receipts for all the parts because the parts are the parts are the most expensive part of it, right? But it's just one of those things like, hopefully, this will maybe shed some light. If you're going to look at a truck and it's never had anything done to it, then that's different. If it's a completely stock truck, is what it is. Guy doesn't have receipts, just didn't keep them, whatever. But that is one thing I'm always looking, like if I go buy a truck and I'm, something that's a decent truck, like lots of times I buy junk and whatever, it is what it is. It starts, runs, it doesn't have metal in the oil, send it, we're good. Now, if you're spending good money, let's say 20, 30, 40, 50,000 bucks on a truck, even 10,000 bucks on a truck. Well, maybe not 10,000, but either way, like if you're buying something that's got a built engine and it's got compounds on it and it's got fancy wheels and a lift and all that stuff, you want to know what you're actually getting, especially if you're paying big money for the truck. It's just one of those things where it's just like, I've seen that quite a few times over the years where guys buy a truck, think they know what they got, and they didn't get what they got. So it's, you know, it doesn't matter who built the truck, doesn't matter who put the truck together. If you don't have bills for it, you know, how do you actually know, right? That is what it is. It's just, and you get people putting in stuff, you put in an engine and, you know, you put compounds on it, but if it wasn't built to carry the load of the compounds, will it last for a while? 100%, right? Doesn't matter whether it's a 5.9, 6.7, Power Stroke, you know, a Duramax, none of that really matters. It's just that if it wasn't built to take it, you know, if the guy's been rat bagging on it for 100,000 miles or 100,000 kilometers, and it's still a stock new engine, then that usually doesn't fare very well. It just doesn't. So hopefully, you know, this helps somebody out. Like, I realize it's just, you know, a talking head video basically, but please, if you're buying a truck, if there's no paperwork, buyer beware.